Hello and welcome to my Ever Messy Art Studio. My name is Keeks and today we are going to be doing collage. So it's like a back to the basics for us, right? Now up until this point my collage, has been taught by mostly one person, which is Dee Dee Willingham, and I love how she collages. She does some cool outer space stuff. She's always doing things in either forbidden forests or like abandoned places. You know, she's got all kinds of different stuff. In fact, she usually does it every single week. So it's a wonder that I learned so much from her. But I have been watching a different artist who has also started to inspire me. Her name is Art with M, E-M, and I will link her down in the discussion portion of the video. And she makes collages, but she completely paints everything and makes them into like kind of garden art, which I absolutely love. And so last week at some point, I had actually attempted to do a collage like hers, and it turned out like this. And I had a really fun time doing it. Now, I will say I do not make it as complicated as she does. She does very complex drawings before she does her collages so that she plans everything. She also uses different things like Photoshop, color editing, that kind of stuff. I don't know how to do that kind of thing. So I do a very, very small version of what she has taught me. So I thought it would be really fun to share with you guys so that we could do it together, and I'm really excited about that. So this will probably be a longer video. I'm going to take you through the entire process, including painting painty papers and going from there. So enjoy! So before we begin our new collage, I just wanted to talk about the one that I did before. That way you kind of get an understanding of how easy or complicated this process may be. Because like I said, it is a different practice than what Dee Dee usually does. And I know most of the people in my community are actually crossed over from hers, because I go on her broadcasts all the time, you know, to watch her, and I've made friends with you guys. So with M actually does really teeny tiny micro details in collages, and it's not with paintbrushes, it's with paper. Now I don't want to do that. That's scary to me. But what I did like about it was all of these interesting things, because when I think of collage, I usually think of getting either a magazine or maybe a book to reverse collage it. But with these, it's all elements that you've created yourself. So you're not actually using, like, for example, our cut and collage books, things like that. So I wanted to go ahead and show you guys this artist. And I know this morning at Dee Dee's, I also mentioned Art by M, as whenever she was asking for good YouTubers to watch, because I think she would really enjoy it. Like, I know she does fussy cutting like nobody else. Dee Dee does, so I feel like she would be wonderful at this. I don't know that she would have the time to do something as detailed as Art by M does in her videos, because her videos usually last, like there was one that lasted 13 days, you know, and she got it cut down in like 2 hours. So I know Dee Dee's not going to do something like that because she has a live stream to think of. But I did think that this would be a fun thing to introduce to our community. That way we can continue to build upon our collage knowledge. So I thought that would be fun. Over here, this was my original idea. I was like, I know for a fact that I want a table that kind of resembles a log. I want something that looks like 2 chairs. I want some mushrooms. I want some flowers. I want a big flower up top. And I want some bees. I was thinking maybe a spider, but I ended up adding the web. And then I also wanted a, what do they call that? Not honeycomb. A beehive. Yes, a beehive. I wanted a beehive. And this is what my collage turned out. It's not perfect. There are definitely some details that I wish I would have done differently. Like, I wish I would have made the table more oval. That way it was more of a side view, and then put something under it. I also, you kind of lose my 2 chairs behind these mushrooms. So that was something to kind of learn, you know, beyond. I did completely build the beehive all by myself. I did use some markers on the bees once I got the paper down. But yeah, all of this was hand painted, and some of it was from jelly plates. Like, I'm pretty sure that this web is from jelly plating. And a lot of it was just simply using up acrylic paint, which I have a ton of acrylic paint that I don't want to go bad. I know Joanne Newman said something really cool this morning at Dee. She said, hey, if you add a little bit of water to your paints, they might not go bad. Mine have the opposite problem. My paints get too watery. So it's almost like the paint tries to separate or something. Like, so instead of them being too dry, they're on the other spectrum of that. But I do appreciate that tip, that if your paints are too dry, to add some water to it. And my child is singing. That was very loud. But anyway, so that was the plan for this one. For the collage that I'm going to do with you guys, I'm going to do another simple one, and I'm hopefully going to learn from some of my mistakes. So what I was thinking about doing is like a mushroom house this time. So I thought maybe that would be cute, have a couple windows, some bushes, do some different grasses, things like that, and add some flowers in there. And I think that with all of that together, even though it'll be a simple amount, it's going to be complicated enough. So it's a big task, and we're going to do it together. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to think about what colors I need. So I know that I want reds, you know, red with white on my top of my mushroom, because I want a traditional mushroom. I might want some browns for the door and for the windows. I'm going to want some bright greens for these leaves here, and then maybe some dark greens behind. Different stuff like that. And then I want to put flowers all around, and I want to have a mixture of flowers that I cut out along with, I've got these, and it's just a bunch of like little flowers and stuff in here. I thought maybe tacking on some of these might be a little fun too. So just to give it a little bit of pizzazz, because like I said, I got you. If you're looking for flowers, we're gonna have a good time. But yeah, so I think that that would be really fun to do, and I just wanted to try this out, and I'm really excited about it, because like I said, I learned how to collage from Dee. I haven't really tried other people's styles, so I just thought maybe this would be new and insightful. So let's go ahead and move this guy out of the way now that we know what colors that we want to use. And I'm gonna bring out our papers. So for the paper, what I have here is just regular printer paper. One of the reasons M says these are the best thing to use is because you actually, well, you end up stacking so many little pieces of paper on top of each other that gets pretty thick after a while. So if you have thicker paper, yes, it may look cool, but it's not going to be thin enough. And I want it to be able to be in my sketchbook, because I've been enjoying collaging in my sketchbook lately. So I want it to stay, you know, a space where I can do that. So I'm going to go ahead and do what she said and use regular paper. Dee also does this sometimes. I see her do this with jelly plates and also with stencils, things like that. We could use stencils for this project, but I honestly want to do just regular hand-painted pieces, because since I'm so new to this process and I'm showing you this process, I don't want it to be so complicated that I can't figure out where left is right anymore. So let me just make sure that we're fully in the camera here. There we go. I think that's pretty good. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm probably going to go ahead and paint the lovely mushroom top. And I'm going to do some red, and I'm going to do some pinks on this side here and see which colors look better to me. So give me a second while I riffle through my paints here. And I do have a bunch of these paint by number paints. We could possibly use some of those maybe in the bushes, stuff like that later. So I'm going to keep that to the side. Looks like I've got this red. What else do I got? I've got kind of a glowy pink. Here's a true red, I think. Yeah, crimson. Switching through, seeing what I have. I think here's a red. I don't know what kind of red that is. This one's cadmium DP red. And I also have a big one here. So what I might do is maybe on half of the sheet do more of the pinkies, or mix some pinks and reds together. And then on this side over here, I'm just gonna keep it red and just see what ends up happening here. And we'll do a couple of different things for the white spots. Like I was thinking that we could even use like the end of this cap and pop it in some paint and do some little hoop-de-doos on it. We're just gonna have fun with it, and feasibly, if I think about this, how small my sketchbook is, we could fit 4 different mushroom heads on here, and I think that would be fine. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and get a paintbrush out. Let's see here. I'm gonna use this guy. This is one of my Hime paintbrushes, and I think that's gonna be fine. Or, so that I can get to corners better, I could also use this Isotouch one. I'm gonna use this one. It's a little bit bigger. I haven't used it yet. I think that's gonna be fine. So I also have, from watching Denise Love, she uses these little painty papers, which are these little doodads. And I think I'm gonna put my paint on that before I swish it everywhere. So give me just 1 second to kind of set up a little bit, because I've got my desk messy as usual. And I just want it to be nice. Okay, so I'm gonna put it over here and let's squish out some red. Ooh. Okay, and I'm gonna do just a bunch of red and a big spot. Because we're gonna cut out the shape of the mushroom. I don't necessarily have to keep it in the shape of the mushroom if I don't want to, but I also can. Nothing wrong with it. So maybe I do want to do that. And then I gotta keep in mind the size of my house, but I can always decrease the size if it's too big. Okay, so we've got one nice big red mushroom shape there. Let's do another one right here. And I wanna do 2 of the exact red ones because I wanna test different types of dots and see what happens, like see what looks better. So I'm just gonna kind of play. Now I've got that mushroom topper, and then I don't really care for these 2 reds, so I'm not going to use that. I will try this pink though, because that could do something interesting. Let's try one with this kind of like it's kind of like this mesmerizing shiny pink. You okay, Ronan? I heard something fall. He's got his headphones on. Okay, anyway. So I've got that pink in there. I'm just gonna see if it does anything. It might not. Could be a total waste, but unless I try it, I don't know. And it looks pretty similar. I'm gonna kind of, okay, so I do see a sheen to it. That's pretty interesting. So that just kind of gave it a bit of a glow, I would say. Okay, and then I'm gonna try it I'm gonna try just a pink mushroom in general. So maybe I want a little bit of that shine in there too. So I'm gonna do just a pink one and see what that looks like. So that could be fun. And I probably am gonna waste some paint today. But what I'll do is instead of wasting the whole thing of paint, I'll just take a new piece of paper, paint the whole thing, because I have a feeling that now that I know two different styles of collage, that I will be doing both of them more. Because I go back and forth a bit. I have ADHD, so sometimes I'll hyper focus on one thing and then I'll hyper focus on the next. And right now I feel like I'm hyper focusing on collage. There's nothing wrong with that. But I just have that yearn to make something, you know what I mean? Okay, so we've got two reds. We've got a red with pink mixed into it with that shiny pink, and then we've got just plain pink. So I'm gonna set that to the side and I'm gonna let it dry, and then we'll come back over it and do some dots, and we'll see what we think. And for the rest of this paint, I'm just gonna make a nice painty paper. Get some swirls in there, some swishes, just a little bit of everything. Because we don't know what we're gonna make in the future. And I don't wanna waste all the paint that I just poured out. Because I wasn't expecting it to pour out that fast. So right now this just looks like a red piece of paper, but we're gonna do things to it and I'll show you. So we're not just gonna leave it a red piece of paper. Doing some scratchy scratches. Painting it out. It's up to you if you want to cover the whole page or not. One of the things is having room to dry everything. You may need to use your floor. Or if you have like an extra table, that would be helpful. I do not have an extra table, so it will be the floor for me. So just be aware if you have any littles or any animals or anything, that they don't get into your paint. Though some cute little footprints probably wouldn't hurt anything. And you know, these could turn into flowers eventually. They could be a lot of different things. And it doesn't have to all be straight lines like what I'm doing either. Like in some spots, maybe over in this corner, I want everything to be very chaotic. You can do something like that, just for an extra texture. Some other things that we can do to mess with this is we can also take one of these little guys and we could scratch some places. So maybe I like, let's see, it's not gonna let me do it there. Let's do it here. We can certainly do that to get some texture in there. It's good. And then you could also use other colors on top of it. So one color that we can try is we can do blues and purples. So maybe I want to do some purple splatter. Do that. Clean off my brush a little bit here. Clean. Get off me, paint. I always keep paper towels handy just for that occasion, because sometimes I am a menace with paint and I can't get it off with just the water. So I have to do one of these maneuvers and whip it off and kind of rub it off. Nothing really wrong with that. Okay. So I'm gonna actually dip that in some clean water and get this kind of watery. So you're gonna see a lot of splatters. I enjoy splattering things. I think it's fun. So we've got that. And then we can put some blue in that too. So I think blues and reds look pretty cool together. And this one's just to not waste the paint. There we go. Now I'm gonna leave these blues and purples here because I might actually want them because I need to do some background colors and I want flowers and stuff to go in my background. So here's this, it's got some splatters. I'm gonna set it to the side. This is mostly dry now, so I'm gonna bring this back. Wash my brush again. Okay, and this time, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take what Dee Dee calls her bucket of stars. I'm gonna shake that puppy up. It's just water and white paint. Keep it in a miniature Nutella jar. And I want to do some splatter over here now, because I know that I like the look of that. Now I know for certain that I like the look of that. However, I want to try something different, and I'm going to stick the tip of this oh-hoo-hoo in there too. So all I did was I stuck the tip of my oh-hoo-hoo inside the paste, and now I'm just stamping it on. Just to give it a little bit of extra funk. I kind of like that a lot. Okay, but we don't know if that's what we want yet. So let's make some other prototypes here. Let's do some more splatter and just do regular splatter on this one. And we actually got a little bit of splatter on this pink one over here too, which is fine. And then this one up here, instead of doing splatters, I'm gonna take a white Arctics marker and I'm gonna see what it looks like. Just doing the white Arctics. And I can tell you already, I'm loving that first one. So this would just be random dots. Okay, so I've got that all taken care of, and I'm gonna set that to the side to dry again. And whichever ones I don't use, I can always use for other projects. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and do some dark green bushes, and I'm gonna incorporate that purple and blue that I've already taken out into it. Because I'll probably do little dots with them. And we can do some more splatters, we can do all kinds of stuff. So here's some greens, some different ones. I've got any more that are hiding from me. I do. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and rinse my paintbrush. Now I'm going to scribble on some greens. I don't think I'm going to use that one. That one's more of a bluish green, and I'm not really looking for that. Definitely like the look of this dark green. Oh dear, it's almost empty though. Oh! Didn't want to come out there. As you can see, my hands are a complete mess right now. It's great. I don't mind. I've got this really bright green. I might use that for the two really tall blades of grass that I want to put next to it. So I'm going to save that. We can do a little bit of this green. And I don't think I want that one. I'll just do this one. And for these, I'm going to do kind of bushy textures for the most part. Oops, I got some water on my page. It's okay. So I'm just going to start mixing in my greens and play. See what exactly I come up with. So you can see bushes in that. Very nice and messy. What about this brighter green? They're all kind of mixing together, it feels like. Which is fine. I was hoping that this lighter green would actually show up differently though, and it's not really. I mean, it is a bit lighter, but not enough to make the most bit of difference in my opinion, because I'm doing kind of darker ones over here and then these lighter ones over there. Here's one with both. Okay, and then I'm also going to do some straight textures. Something nice like that. So that gives us just a little bit more texture to play with. Now I'm going to use this other green. And with this one, I'm going to try, and we'll see how this goes, but I was going to do half of the paintbrush in dark and half of it in this light green. And just kind of do something like that with it. Just making little blades of grass. That's pretty. That looks like good grass. Okay, mix up the rest of this some. Get some more bushes in there. Maybe we can do some just kind of like randoms. Kind of layer stuff in there. let's say I think in this random patch here I might do the blobs of color. So let's add some water to this again. I'm just scooping up some water and dunking it in. What we're doing here is the reason why we want this is because this can look like flowers. And let's get some blue in there as well. So we've got that. If we wanted to, maybe in these little bushy ones, we could add a little bit of brown in there. So maybe, let's see. There's a good brown right here. And I'm gonna want brown anyway. So I do have some things that are brown, but what I was thinking is use it to do like little branches. There we go, so that patch now has a bit of a pattern. And then I know that I'm going to be wanting a door and some windows, so I am gonna do this whole section here in brown. Something like that. And I do want it to look like it has that texture to it. So I'm going to take my paint tool here. Because it's going to give it a wood look. Okay, so we've got doors, windows. We need to make the base of the, we need to make the colors of the base of the mushroom itself. So I've got that down. Here's this guy. And for this, we're gonna want some tans. We can make a couple different bases. The first one I'm gonna do with tan and a darker tan and see what that looks like. And then I was also going to try it with yellow to see what that looks like too. So I'm gonna do a big splat of that there and then put a splat of these on either side. On my paint palette. Go. All right, so I'm gonna make two bases. I think I'm gonna make one here and one here. just want it to be like the stalk of a mushroom. I'm keeping in mind that I want it to be tall enough that it's going to support a door plus 2 windows. So I'm probably making it a little bit thicker than it needs to be, like bigger. I'm doing that on purpose. I want some more of this in there. There we go. Okay, so there's one mushroom. I'm going to try it with the yellow now and just see what that looks like. It looks more aged, which is interesting. I wasn't sure what I would think about that because that's not a regular yellow, that's more of a mustard yellow. I'm kind of liking it. Okay, so we've got ourselves 2 houses here. Let's see, what other little details do we need? I'm looking at my sketch. So we're also going to want to do flowers, and one of the flowers that I wanted to do was like a dandelion, and honestly this color would do really well for the dandelion too. So I wonder, I'm going to take some of this brown and do like a circle here. Do another one too. Because what I'm thinking is that can just be the overall shape of it. And I'm just going to lightly stamp with the yellow so that you can kind of tell what it is, but you've also got some of your imagination doing some of the work for you too. I know for sure that I wanted dandelions because I have one that's like an almost dead dandelion, which would be like what these are. And then we can also do a yellow circle. And this could be fun to do with the painter brush too. I wonder if we could draw with it. So we could try. Doing textures on them if we wanted to. Not sure how I feel about that one. That one's a bit weird. Maybe if we put a brighter color in it. Something like that. And then there was one that had green in it, but also had the bit of yellow at the top. And give that a little bit of texture. Or we can leave it the way it is. Either way is fine looking. Something like that. small green thing there for the bulb of that we can cut out later. We still have blues and purples too, so we can definitely do some flowers with those. Like, I don't see a reason not to use the blues and the purples. So we can either do petals, we can do whatever we want with them. Let's see here. I want to make a couple of regular yellow. Regular yellow as well. Got those just to see what I like better. Here's a regular yellow. And see, that almost looks too bright to me. I don't know that I like that. I don't like that as much as I like that tone. So we're not gonna worry about that one. But let's go ahead and get to this purple and blue situation. Okay. And when we get down to it, if we end up needing something that we've missed, just go back with paper and just add some more. It'll be okay. Okay, so I'm just gonna whip some of this on the paper. I'm not gonna give it much thought at all. Just doing some lovely things. Once again, I can do some scribblies if I want to. We can even have some that have that bit of white showing through for some texture. So maybe I want to dry brush it and see what that gives us. Okay, so I think that should be enough for right now for flowers. And let's check back on our mushroom heads here. So these are our mushroom heads, and for the most part, they're pretty dry. There are definitely some wet spots in here, but I'm not worried about it. So I think we're okay to go ahead and start cutting them and just seeing what they look like. So I'm gonna go ahead and get a small pair of scissors. What I'll probably do is cut the page into fourths and then cut them individually. I think that would be a lot easier. And that way I don't risk accidentally bending one or smearing paint, anything weird like that. And I can always individually hit them with my heat gun as well. And I'll try to stay in focus as much as I can here. When I'm cutting, I'm looking at scissors. I'm not really looking at what I'm doing. Okay, so I've got this one, so I'm going to cut this one first. And first I'm going to cut out the basic shape of it. And I like rounded corners, so I'm just going to round that. And here's one mushroom head. Then we've got this one. This one still's got some wet paint on it, so I just want to be careful with it. All right, we've got that mushroom head. Sorry, I'm going quiet here. I'm just trying to concentrate so I don't accidentally cut my fingers or something. I'm just going to round my corners. There's that mushroom head. And then here's the one that I hope is going to look the best, just because I think it looks really cool. But we'll try it with both bases that we made, and that way we can kind of see which one's going to work out. But I love how messy this looks. And I'm just going to round my corners. Boop. Boop. All right. So now we've got 4 mushroom toppers that are each a little bit different. We've got these 2, which this one's our red one that has both splats and the circles on it. This one is pink with dots. We've got pink with splatter and red with splatter. So let me grab the bodies to the mushrooms, because those should also be dry. And here they are. So here's our bodies, and we also got to cut out these little things too. I think the first thing I'm going to do is cut off all these little things, and we'll cut those out last probably. This part I'm okay with being square, because I feel like for the most part it's going to have things covering up the edges. And we can always trim it down to match whatever the width of our mushroom is. But first I want to look at these colors and see what colors looks better. You know what I mean? You know what I mean, G? So let's see here. This is the one with the yellow in it. And I can already tell it's too yellow, but I'll keep this piece of paper because I might use it in a different collage. I think this is the paper that we're gonna go with. So let's see here. So pink, pink, red, red. So I actually think this works perfectly with this one. To me, that's got the right look to it. So I like that. I think that's pretty good. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my Ohuhu stick. If I can get it open, there we go. And I'm gonna rub the top of this. And I'm gonna put it about where I want it. So see, now we got the body of the house, which is good. Okay. And then what we could do is we could use this as like the inside of the windows if we wanted to, because it's just slightly a different color. So we could do that, but I want to see if I'm even going to have room for windows, because to me it looks like we're going to have room for a door, but unless the windows are really teeny tiny, I'm not sure if that's going to work, but we can try it. So let's see here. I'm going to get my door. Big. Okay, let's see how tall we need to be. Needs to be a little bit smaller. What does that look like? That looks pretty good. We still might be able to put 2 little windows in. Let's see what we can do here. So let me cut out 2 little squares of that as well. We've got plenty. We want 2 squares. Here can be a square. Let's give it another one. And if you're not perfect with your cuts, don't worry, I'm not going to be either. This is just for fun. Don't be too hard on yourself. It'll be okay. Okay, so we got 2 outsides of windows, and then maybe if I cut it slightly smaller. Do 1 square there, and then we can get like a knob on the door would be good. So I'm just gonna carefully cut out a little circle. Or at least something that's almost a circle, and I can just round it out. Very tedious. There's a doorknob. Okay, So I think I'm ready to glue those pieces down. So I'm going to scooch these over to the side here. And let's get this door on first. And you can use either a glue stick, or I know with the other collage I did not use a glue stick. I used Elmer's glue, and that was fine too. Pop our little doorknob on there, like that. And then we gotta get our windows on. That. I knew I was going to be playing in paint today, so I didn't paint my nails. I figured I would just chip them off anyway. All right, that's cute. I like that a lot. All right, and then the other thing that I wanted to put on there was the blades of grass. So for the blades of grass, I have this piece here, and I wanted to have blades of grass coming out from behind it. Here's one blade of grass. I was thinking 2 on each side, so we'll see if we can swing that. And you can kind of stack onto each other like this or something. So I've got one side, let's do the other side. And then we're just gonna stick those on either side here. So it's gonna be kind of like that. I think that'll be really cute. Yes, baby. What's up? Oh dear, I just heard him say something needs to be fixed. Give me one moment, guys.
You know what, Mommy?
Oh, yes?
What about the thing that it feels good with on my ear?
Okay, well, if you want to keep using it that way, that's up to you. Sorry. We have a pair of headphones that my son was using that are very old and are starting to fall apart. Like, not to the point where you can't use them anymore. It's just probably a little difficult. Okay, so I've got some glue here. I'm gonna go like that with it, and then I see that there's this little flap right here. Just gonna glue that puppy down like that. Okay, so that's one side. Let me get these guys out of the way so you can see a little bit better. And then we'll do this side. Didn't quite go where I wanted it to go. Here we go, like that. That's better. All right. Something kind of like that. Flip this guy up again. And stick it. Okay, so now we've got ourselves a very cute little fairy house, and we can actually bring out the journal now, start working on the greenery. Okay, so here's our journal, and it does look like this is a little wide, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna flip it like this. And we're not gonna have that path there now, but it should still look pretty cute. We got this. So let's go ahead and get our greens a-greenin'. I've got these here. So we've got lots of different fun textures and stuff to go in the background. So for these, I'm gonna use Elmer's glue. I did want some, I actually remember that I wanted some bushes outside the front of this house too, and I'm liking how this bush right here looks. So I'm gonna cut this guy out. And as you go, you can change it up as much as you want. Be your own Bob Ross. So I like the look of that bush, so I'm gonna put it like that probably. Yeah. And then let's get a second bush. This one's got a lot of swirls in it. right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and use my glue stick real quick just to glue these back on, because like I said, I forgot that I wanted those. So I'm just gonna open my glue stick. We'll do one bush like that. One bush like that. There we go. So it should look like that when it's laid down. It'll be really cute. Okay, so I'm gonna set my house to the side. And now I'm gonna start covering up the background with stuff. So I'm gonna kind of cut out some random shapes to fill the space. And if I have to make more painted paper, that's totally fine. And let's start at the top and work our ways down. Or you know what, it's fine. Like I said, I don't like sharp corners on the edges, so I'm just playing with it a bit. This part's going to be behind the house, so it's not necessarily going to be super noticeable. If I wanted to, I can still even move it a little and move it back this way. I think it's okay like that though. Then we need one more up here. Also, you can definitely use stuff like Golden Matte Medium for that as well, for this gluing down part. I'm just not. I don't know. Sometimes I like to get my hands messy, but not that messy. So if you've ever worked with matte medium, oof. Okay, so we got that down. this on this side of it. Okay. Okay, so a lot of that's going to be covered up by the house, so it'll be okay. It's always okay to just kind of pop it on top and see what we think. Need one more corner here. I think I've got just enough. Just enough. To make another little corner like that. Then we're all out of green paper, so if I needed more, I'd have to make it. Something like that. Oops, we're hanging off the edge a little bit. Move her up just slightly. There we go. Right now, I think we're ready to apply our house because it's going to go like this. Might see, do I have a strip that'll just work there at the bottom? Even if it was something like that, that wouldn't look bad. I don't like that bit of white that was showing. Yeah, I think that looks a lot better. Okay. So now I'm going to apply my whole house to this. And I just do it around the edges and then do like circles with my thumb. And it's never failed me before. So that's what I like to do. Okay. Oh no, a scrap paper came with us. Don't want that. Hi, Mason. My husband just got home. Just like that. And then what I was thinking is we can now add the flowers, because otherwise it's going to be too green. And yeah, so we've got our daffodils here, or not our daffodils, our dandelions. So we can just pop a couple of those in there and some stems, and that should be good. So for flowers, we still have that piece of paper, and we also have these papers. So we can make something fun with them. Hey Mason, there should be some meatballs in the fridge if you want them. And that one's not coming out very well. Let's go with this other one over here. We'll just have two different colors. So there's some dandelions. I wanted to make one dandelion that was not quite ripe yet. I'm gonna do that too. Takes care of those. I'm gonna glue these down. That, and then I think I'm gonna have this one that's not ripe yet over here too. Let's use a little bit of that glue and pop that on. Something like that. That hang out right there. So that's just one that's not quite ripe yet. And I will say later on, later in my art journey, I will probably get better at this, because right now these are all the same value. So you can't really tell where anything is, which is a little sad, but that's okay. It's still very cute. And then we do have these purple pages. So I want to do something with that. Maybe we can make some big old flowers. got our first flower, so let's go ahead and get that glued down. I'm gonna put this flower over here because it seems like there's plenty of room over here. I would say that the little pieces like this are probably the most tedious, but it's still fun. This style of collage kind of reminds me of The Hungry Caterpillar. Did you ever read that book as a kid? Or like the I Spy one, where you're like, I see a black bear looking at me, you know? And we need like a little circle to go in the middle of that. Let's do maybe some of these bright pink ones will do. Cut a circle out of this. Something like that. And we'll cut another flower for over here. This is mostly just cutting, so sorry I'm not talking very much. We're almost done. is. And then we need another circle. There we go. And it's okay if they don't look like real flowers. These are certainly not real flowers. They're just in my head. So we're making them real, because I don't know of any flowers that actually look like this. But that's okay. It's part of the fun. Not knowing what to expect or like how it's going to turn out. We were working with a very simple blueprint. Just an idea and then putting it together. Oh no, I just realized that the flower I was working on was completely out of focus. I'm sorry. It's a little awkward. I might have to fast forward some of that in there. There we go. So at this point, the collage is finished and it is looking mighty cute. Ooh. So hopefully I inspired you today. And like I said, do definitely check out Dee Dee Willingham. She's also called Inky Well on Instagram, and then Art with M, E-M. Both of those are some of the best collagers that I know. Like I said, Dee Dee has no idea, but for like 5 years she taught me how to collage. Never had done it before, but was inspired by her. And then, like I said, lately I've been getting inspired by Emily, who does this kind of art. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Is this something that you would try? Have you tried it before? Let me know. And if you liked this, thank you so much for your support today, and I hope I'll see you next time. Bye.